Welcome to the Saturday in Athens podcast. I'm your host, Seth Saunders, joined by my boy, James Kim. We are live from Memorial Stadium here in Bloomington, Indiana. The day's slate of games have already started. We got into Bloomington late last night, just in time for a cardiac sandwich at the hotel for 8 overtimes with Dawgs Yellow Jackets in clean, old-fashioned hate. I'm still having heart palpitations, brother. Where are you at?
I'm just relieved. It's over. Dogs win, but man, I'm just glad it's over. I feel like I played.
Yeah, I feel like I lost probably like 10 pounds during that last night, too, between the anxiety and the sweating. But a win is a win. We will take it. Let's look at this beautiful T-shirt that was purchased this morning on Kirkwood in Bloomington this morning. As they say, win in Rome.
Win in Rome.
Old Oaken Bucket tonight, Indiana and Purdue, a fantastic rivalry game. I think the expectation among the faithful here in Bloomington is that the Hoosiers are going to run roughshod over the Boilermakers tonight, and they're probably right. And I will say, man, they are out and about and ready to rip today. Downtown was already popping at like 10 o'clock when we went to town for breakfast, and they are already filling into the parking lots and rolling. So I think Memorial Stadium is going to be popping tonight. Let's get into the game last night. Obviously, a wild night, probably not what anybody expected, especially in Dog Nation. Look, I think Georgia Tech had an outstanding game plan. I think they knew what they wanted to do, and they knew the path to them winning was to control the clock, shorten the game, and try to dictate tempo. And let's be honest, they did whatever they wanted all day. Controlled time of possession, controlled everything at the point of attack. It was an absolute just balling by their offensive line. The Dogs' defense, as unfortunately has become a recurring theme, had problems tackling all night.
Poor eye discipline.
Yeah, it was just it was a tough night. Now, I say all that to say this: as they have shown all year, this team's resiliency is
unmatched.
Through the roof. That game is 27-13, 5 minutes left. We're watching it / listening to it on the iPad coming down the interstate.
Fans are leaving the stadium.
Yeah, fans are leaving. And look, man.
Rightfully so.
That game felt like it was over. We tweeted out last night. We gave up, so did you. It just was one of those games where I felt like, man, this just ain't the night for it to happen. And as they have done many, many times this year, Dogs find a way.
Yeah.
Get the ball back, go down and score quick. And then Dan Jackson with certainly the play of his career, and in some ways maybe the play of the year for the Georgia football team, with just an absolute thump on Haynes King to force the fumble and get the ball back. I know there was some hand-wringing about the targeting thing, leading with the crowd, blah, blah, blah. Dude, that's a good football hit. That's teach tape in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Right there in the middle of the line, I don't know what you're going to do about that. There's plenty of things that were missed by that officiating crew last night, and I think it was more about their lack of competence and less about them having any type of agenda one way or the other. So, but regardless, an excellent play by Dan Chambliss with the heads-up recovery.
Yeah,
and
ball was at Naz's feet, and he didn't even notice it.
Yeah, and then the Dogs still had to finish the deal and go in and score, and they did that, took care of business. What were your main takeaways, positive and negative? Let's do that.
Main negative is the high discipline. That's been a theme all season. And it starts with the backers and then just feeds on back to the secondary. They were creeping up every single time. Every play action, every RPO, they just crept up. And you could tell they did not expect Haynes King to throw the ball yesterday. It was obvious. They were expecting him just to come out and run. And you would expect some adjustments from that. And they did adjust some in the second half, but he still ran the ball a lot in the second half of the Dogs. So, but positive, Nate he's just become electric.
Yeah.
Plus CT.
Yep.
So I think even when Trevor becomes healthy, Nate's RB1. So I don't think it's a question. So, and then another concern, drops are still a big issue.
Yeah.
But when the catches were needed, as it has been all season, they stick them. So it's kind of one of those things. It's twofold. The negatives are always in the beginning, and then the positives come back, and they're at the end of the game. So a win is a win. Glad it's over. We want it next week for either Texas or A&M.
We'll ask the collective, which all starts where Jimmy and I had a laugh throughout the broadcast that there seemed to be a recurring theme from Tess and from Jesse. And both of us like Jesse a lot. And man, I like Tess too, but I do feel like Tess is like in the same school of broadcast as Chris Fowler, where every single thing that happens in the game involves all capital letters and an exclamation point. So I don't love that particularly, but it was funny last night at how many times they explained to us that Haynes King was courageous. And
like he had like amputated a foot.
yeah, like his leg was hanging off as he was playing. And look, man, he played awesome. He was outstanding.
And you could tell he was banged up.
Yeah,
no question.
100%. But it was funny. And then also, and dude, this was to the point where they made made light of it on game day this morning. Joe Tessitore must have said 6,745 times that if the Dogs win,
They
they're
punched their ticket.
punch their ticket to the playoffs, which I think McAfee said this morning. I don't have a seat on the college football playoff committee like Joe Tess does, but yeah. So that was interesting. I want to ask you about a couple things that we were hand wringing about in the car. Can we talk about the choice to call a timeout with under a minute left in the first half when Georgia Tech didn't have a timeout? And let's also talk about the choice and wisdom to go for a 2-point conversion after the first score. Now, let us put out very clearly, and if you have followed us for any amount of time, y'all know we are very much in Kirby Paul Smart we trust. And so I hate to question those things in any way, shape, or form, but I found both of those things to be curious, especially after it seemed to us like Tech was just kind of content to take a field goal there at the end of the first half.
Yeah.
Then they hit the pass play, and yeah, they end up scoring a touchdown. And then did the 2-point thing. I know he said post game, it's on our analytics chart. We follow the chart, X, Y, and Z. Man, I don't know why you're going for two to make a two-score game a two-score game. Right?
Yes.
I didn't get that.
I want to talk about the 2-point thing because let's talk about analytics for a second. How many times this season has it said Dogs to go for it or go for two on an analytics chart and Kirby doesn't?
Yeah.
I can think of several instances where it has said go and Kirby doesn't. Why in that instance did he say go? It almost felt like Kirby was letting Key dictate the game. He almost like a desperation thing. And that's not how Kirby coaches. So it was almost like Kirby felt desperate in that situation. So I'm not saying that's the scenario, but that's how it felt as a fate. So as far as the timeout, I have absolutely no rhyme or reason, explanation. That made no sense. They ran the ball with 52 seconds left, up the middle, got like 2 or 3 yards. It was second down and 7 or 8, and they were playing for a field goal. They had no timeouts. And then we called timeout, 47 seconds left. They hit a pass and then get to like the 4, then get the touchdown. We gave them 4 or 5 points then. So we gave them 5 points. It's a 5-point swing. This game should have never gone to overtime if everything else plays out the way it does.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm sure the train of thought on the timeouts was,
Get the ball.
yeah, we'll take timeouts, we get the ball back with like 40-some seconds left, let it rip, maybe we get a field goal. Look, I get that, but given how the defense had played, and because first half was every single possession Georgia Tech had gone into the red zone, I think. And there was one punt from them all night. So it's just one of those things where situationally I didn't think it made a lot of sense given how everything had gone. But look, obviously everything worked out, which is great. And you wonder in some ways if there was a little bit of a look ahead to Atlanta. I mean, look, it's a rivalry game. It's a Friday night. I do think Dawgs being on a short week, Georgia Tech not being on a short week, that's helpful. But I also just think, man, Brett Key got them boys prepared. And you can tell that roster believes in him and believes in what they're doing and what they're trying to build. So, yeah, I mean, hats off to them. I thought, obviously Kirby and him had a moment at the end of the game, and Brent Key looked gutted, and he should have been. Because, look, man, 27-13, 5 minutes left. I don't know what the ESPN probability chart said for wins, but it had to be in the high 90s, I would think. So, man, just a tough loss for Georgia Tech. Jubilation if you're a Dogs fan because you steal a win that it looked like you weren't going to get.
Yeah.
Now you're 10-2, still holding all the cards for your playoff picture, which is the end game. I mean, we talked about it yesterday. We talked about it during the week that beat Georgia Tech, beat whoever the Republic's tribute is next week after the game tonight, and then get healthy during this Christmas season. And come January, baby, it's lock the gates and unleash hell time. So hopefully they're still tracking that way. Man, you do bring up Nate. I want to talk about it, man. We talked about this in the car ride down last night. I love his vision, and I love that he's getting confident more and more every week. We still got to work on, though.
The ball security.
Oh, ball security, man. I'm going to post it later, but it just keeps reminding me of Omar Epps' clip from the program. Like, I think we're just going to have him around Athens with the football. And if any of y'all see Nate around Athens with the football, you got to try to punch it out, okay? This team effort here. It's all of us, okay? We're just trying to help everybody get better. So, yeah, I think that they got to fix that because he's too big of a weapon to not be able to use him or not be able to trust him. Also, let's give Cash Jones his flowers.
Yeah.
Like, Cash had a monster game last night, and they obviously trust him a ton. We talked a lot about, especially in that running back room, man. They value the ability to do blitz pickup, pick up the checks, all those type things, and he obviously has that trust. Man, he's been an unsung hero in a lot of ways for that offense this year. So,
Like he's not the deep threat, but as far as catching the ball in the backfield, he is Cook-esque in the short game.
Yep. Yeah.
So, but let's not sell this short either. Getting Big O back and getting him going. I know he didn't have a great game, but he hasn't played in over a year.
Yeah.
So getting his feet wet and starting to get him back in game shape, that's huge for the stretch run for this team.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know he's not Darnell Washington Big O, but he's another Big O. So, Big O 2.0, let's go. So I'm excited for him and see what he can go once he gets his feet.
Yeah, man, if they can just get healthy, I think, and have a full roster to work with, it's only going to benefit things. I did think it was interesting. We noticed last night, he's usually, I feel like, pretty level, pretty cool, calm, and collected. Carson was frustrated last night.
Yeah, he was really frustrated.
And it's
the drops are getting to him.
Yeah, it's the first time I think we saw it come out where he was just like, this is getting ridiculous. Like, we got to figure this out.
Yeah.
Which I don't mind, to be honest, man. I'd rather see him with, a little vinegar in him than anything else. So I thought it was good. I thought them utilizing him a little bit in the run game towards the end. I do think that's something we just have to start mixing in early for him from a play calling perspective. He's obviously more comfortable when he gets involved that way and when he takes a lick. And so I think we should just do that. That should just be a thing. And he is plenty athletic enough to be effective in that role. Like, dude, this guy's a good athlete. He can run a little bit. So let him do it. Let's talk about the games today.
Yes.
Well, let me ask you this first. Am I missing anything? Should we cover anything else as it pertains to the heart attack sandwich from last night? Or
No, I think we can move on from it.
Okay. So here in Bloomington today, Old Oaken Bucket game. We were at Paul Bunyan's Axe yesterday, Minnesota, Wisconsin. First off, thank you to the athletic department at Wisconsin for hosting and having us there. It was an awesome day. We had an absolute blast. For anybody who loves college football like we do, and for y'all that are listening and watching, if you get the opportunity to go to Madison, Wisconsin and experience a game at Camp Randall and that environment, do not think twice. Just let it rip. Madison is an A-plus town. We've said a bunch, and Jimmy can speak on it now too, but when it comes to college towns, man, it's Athens 1A, Madison 1B, like just excellent towns. So, yeah, thank you so much to Wisconsin for that opportunity. If they will have us back, we will come back.
Gladly.
Yeah, we loved it. We also really enjoyed, we sat through PJ Fleck's press conference post-game yesterday.
He's a treat.
He is a treat, man. He was jacked up. And we were the way the visitors press room, media room, post-game works is it was directly shares a door with visitors locker room. So we got to hear and feel in a lot of ways
the energy coming off the locker room.
Post-game press conference was wild. Locker room was wild, man. They were going ape, and it was fantastic. I mean,
on SportsCenter we got to see some of what was going on.
Yeah,
in that locker room.
They were carrying him and had the axe out. Man, it was just awesome. So that was cool, and kind of to hear him talk about their mission for the program. He talked about. They asked him if the cold affected him, and he said, "This is our North."
Yes.
Jimmy and I were like, man, if they print a freaking Our North shirt.
Sure, we're buying that.
Yes, immediately.
Come on, yesterday.
We'll have an Our North shirt immediately. So, yeah, he was great, man. And I thought had a lot of, you could see why guys would want to play for him. So, yeah, it was great. And you could tell how much this meant, not just to him, but to the Minnesota program. I mean, dude, this is a real hatred type rival.
Yes.
And for them to come into Camp Randall and take it away, which historically just doesn't happen a lot.
Second straight win at Camp Randall.
Second straight. Now, what do you say? 3 of 4?
3 or 4, and
Yeah.
he said it hasn't won 2 in a row in Camarillo since before he was born.
Before he was born, yeah. And it was his birthday yesterday.
And it was his birthday.
Yeah, so a good day for PJ. We enjoyed getting to hear him talk about their mission and their program. So that was awesome. Um, we drove down last night. Got into Bloomington too late to really experience anything. Plus, I don't think we would have anyways because we were so locked into the game. But have been out this morning, out and about. Man, let me tell you something. Bloomington, thus far, aces town.
Yes.
Like,
Beautiful.
downtown is really cool. Everybody's been really nice. So I'm excited to see the game here tonight. I think it'll be a full house, and I think in a lot of ways it's going to be a celebration
Of the season.
of the season. Yeah, man. I think this town is fired up. You know, this is a basketball town, right? It's basketball state, and so for them to have football to hang their hat on, you can just tell how excited everybody is. And we also caught a couple strays from folks as we were wearing Dawgs gear this morning. Yeah.
Not expecting that in Bloomington,
Yeah,
Indiana.
people were saying go Georgia Tech, and I mean, just we were catching ricochet shots left and right, which was funny. I'm here for it. So some of the games have already started. Noon pick has already started. Vandy off to a hot start, which Tennessee playing for its potential playoff life. The game Michigan Ohio State has already kicked, and South Carolina Clemson underway too. Monster game for South Carolina and Clemson. Clemson right there in the mix for an at-large spot, even if they don't make their way into the ACC title game. Obviously, a lot of that riding on what's going to happen in the Syracuse Miami game tonight. SMU has already punched their ticket, which we've talked about this a lot, I feel like, off-air, and so maybe we'll talk about it again. SMU, I think, is a prime example of NIL.
Yes.
And how it can function if you have the resources to operate within it effectively. And like we've said before, man.
They were doing NIL before NIL was.
Yeah, man. SMU's the NIL OG, baby. They knew that game, and so they're right where I think you should start expecting them to be for
the future.
Yeah, man, because they're gonna have every resource available to them. Maybe more resources than any college program in the country. I think we've said this before, but somebody fact check me on this because I'm probably wrong. But I think they have more billionaires in their alumni base than any other school in America. They love that oil money, baby. So, yeah, they're going to be right there. They're an interesting story. So they will play in Charlotte next Saturday night, and whoever they get, Miami or Clemson,
you're going to give them all they want.
Give them all they want, man. Yeah, the Mustangs they're there. The other game, obviously, that is massive today, is happening in College Station, Texas A&M, renewing that historic rivalry, and there is certainly no love lost between those programs. Where do you feel on that from a matchup perspective? And as a Georgia leader, let's say, who would you like to see come out victorious tonight at 12th man?
As for the game tonight, I feel that it's leaning towards A&M for the whole. And I feel like matchup-wise, like if this was a neutral field game, I feel like Texas matches up better. But Kyle Field, man, that's just 112,000 people nuts. And that place is this is the biggest game they've had in, 15 years. Alex, this is the last time they played Texas. So
it's going to be, given the stakes and given the opponent and given the time off.
Yeah.
That place is probably going to be an absolute time tonight.
So, I mean, I favor A&M tonight for all those reasons. Like, strictly football matchup, I think Texas is the better team.
Yeah.
But as far as who I would rather the Dogs play, I'd rather the Dogs play Texas. Just for, I don't want to see Reed next week after what we saw last night. It doesn't match up well for the Dogs.
Yeah, we talked about this driving down last night, and look, it's not it's not a secret. It's not a hidden fact or anything. Dogs have problems with dual threat quarterbacks.
It's not just the Dogs; it's Kirby.
Yeah, historically, even going back to when he was D coordinator at Bama, that's true, man. And so, I'd much rather deal with Quinn Ewers, who is prototype pocket guy, and I think too, you have somewhat of a roadmap from the game in Austin. Now, the one thing I don't necessarily love about that is you hate having to play somebody twice and beat them twice, a la the Dogs in 17 playing Auburn, where you lose against them in the regular season, you come back and you win. It's tough to beat people twice. And so that piece of it would give me a little trepidation, I think. But I'm with you, man. I really, really don't want to see Marcel Reed and Texas A&M rolling into Atlanta. I mean, look, it is what it is. It's not a controllable, but yeah. But I'm kind of with you, man. I think this is a game where if you're an A&M fan and you follow the A&M program, you got to feel like a lot of the cards are stacked in your favor.
Yeah.
Your home field, raucous crowd. Um, you got everything on the line. You can go to the SEC title game for the first time since they joined the conference. No,
Yes.
yeah.
That's correct.
So yeah, a lot on the line for the Aggies. We'll see, man. They did you see the? I mean, I'm sure you did. See the clip last week of Elko. He getting
Oh, yeah.
asked about, are you guys looking ahead to Texas? And he goes, no, we're completely focused on Texas. Auburn. Yeah, so that obviously didn't play out so well. But I think Texas is an interesting case because resume wise, their biggest advantage is their loss to the Dogs, right?
Yes.
Like that's essentially the biggest hallmark of their season. Like if you're talking about what is their signature win, what's their big win?
It's Vanderbilt.
Yeah, it's Vandy, man, which is crazy. So I think in a lot of ways for them, it's a prove it game too. Do you think if they lose tonight, is 10-2 Texas in the dance?
Yes, still because of all the chaos that happened last week. If the chaos doesn't happen last week, no, I think that they fall behind Bama, they fall behind Ole Miss, but then now those teams have 3 losses. So, and the committee has shown that they value the loss kind.
Yeah, because, well, okay, let's talk about this then too. What has to happen for, if they're able to come back and beat Vandy today, what has to happen for 10-2 Tennessee to get in? Or does anything have to happen? Or is it win and get in for them?
I think it's winning it in for Tennessee.
Okay.
If Tennessee wins, they're in.
Okay.
So, I mean, they're what, 8 right now? Yeah, they're 8 right now.
Yeah.
So I think if they win, they're in.
Okay.
So I don't see a way that they win and get left out.
Yeah. So, okay, let's say Tennessee wins, they're in. Georgia wins next week, they're in. Although if you listen to Joe Test, they're already in.
Yeah.
So we'll see on that.
Vehemently.
And then you think if Texas wins tonight, Texas is in. So
Yes.
an outside shot for a 3-berth SEC playoff,
Yes.
depending what happens the rest of the day.
I think there's 3 teams. If Tennessee wins today, there's 3 SEC teams in no matter what, because I think the loser of the SEC championship game, if it's Texas, they're in. If it's Texas, they're in. If it's Georgia, Bama's going to jump Georgia. That's just, if Bama wins today. Bama's going to jump Georgia. I don't care what anybody says. They've set it up that way because Bama has the head-to-head. That's why Bama's 13, folks. That's the way they've set it up. I don't care what anybody else says.
Which is presupposing they will beat War Eagle today.
Yes, that is, but that rivalry, who the hell knows?
Some spicy comments in that matchup this year.
Yes, there has been.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm kind of with you, man. I wholeheartedly disagree with Joe Tessitore. Like, I in no way, shape, or form think Georgia's ticket was punched last night. I very much think, given past history, if they don't win next week, the committee will find a way to leave them out, which is wrong. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just telling you.
That's what's going to happen.
I'm just telling you what I know. I mean,
History has shown that they will leave out a SEC champion or SEC loser Georgia.
Yeah, 100%. And I think maybe I would sing a different tune on that if Ole Miss was 10-2.
Yeah.
And hadn't lost to Florida, because I think you could make some arguments that the losses are too good, quote unquote, not to have them in. But given how they lost and given that Ole Miss is not going to be in, I just think the committee will find a way to push them out.
Yeah.
Also, we're just gonna talk about this. Jimmy and I were talking about the playoff committee, and we're at the airport, and Jimmy's like, and this guy that's leading it, Ward Manuel, he is not the best mouthpiece for this organization. I go, homie, and this is only going to hit for people that have children. But I'm just going to put this. I go, dude, he's Pete from the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Like, he just looks like Pete. Pete is having a party. That's all I think every time I see him.
That's great.
So now,
that's all I'll see now.
For any of you that have kids, when you see Ward Manuel, that's all you will see is Pete. And for any of you who don't have kids, you have no idea.
You should look it up.
What I'm talking. You should look it up. Maybe I'll do a side by side. I'll put a picture of Pete by a picture of Ward Manuel. And I'm not trying to be ugly in any way. Okay, this is just it's just an observation that happens to be really, really accurate. His competence level also seems to be at about the level of Pete's as well, which I think is the other reason for the comparison. So, anyways, take that for what it is. This is just a little trip into my brain, which James has to deal with on a daily basis. So thank God that you don't have to. Speaking on that, we went to breakfast this morning at the Village Deli, which
excellent.
Yes. 10 out of 10. Would very much recommend. It was excellent. And we're ordering, and I'm ordering. James, I go, we need to get in the house. And he goes, no, dude, we don't need to get anything else. And
We'd
I'm like,
already ordered one plate each and a order of pancakes to split.
yeah.
And I'm like, dude, we got all day. We're gonna pass out at like noon if we order anything else.
Like, okay, this is fair enough. This is why you're here, is to keep me from making ridiculous decisions, which is like a 35-year-long odyssey for my boy over here. Bless him. So yeah, we get the food, and he's like, "See, this is why we didn't order more than this." I'm like, okay, fair enough. All right. My eyes are generally bigger than my stomach. That's a fair assessment. Um, okay, what am I missing today? Anything else? I'm looking at the UTSA Army game today
Yes.
to see if
Army will host.
see if the Black Knights will host. So I got eyes on that. We talked, man. This noon slate today is
Electric.
outstanding.
Yeah.
And then
We're gonna go find a bar to go sit watch some games.
yes, we are headed to downtown Bloomington to hit a couple spots and watch some games. So follow along. We're going to post all day today. Hey, man, if y'all have been to Bloomington and you have any suggestions or anything, our good buddy Louie already set us up with a phenomenal itinerary. And if the rest of the day, if the visit to Village Deli is an indication of the rest of the day, then
A+.
all of y'all should be calling Louie before y'all make your way here to Bloomington, because our boy has got us in some good spots already. So we're fired up to see it. We will be sure to post everything so everybody can follow along. And yeah, man, hope everybody has an awesome Saturday today. Enjoy this last weekend of regular season college football. And with a huge sigh of relief after last night, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.